Good evening everyone, and for the second time, welcome to the update. It's the 29th of February, it's Monday, it's update day, and hopefully all the technical issues that we were having before are sorted. So we should be streaming properly now. Okay, apologies for that. Okay, the agenda went out yesterday evening, so you should all have a copy if you're wanting to watch this. Without reviewing the thing again, I shall carry straight on. This week's progress then. Colin and I haven't been working together this week for various reasons, mainly because I'm mainly working on the conversion of everything across the RPG format at the moment, so that doesn't really need Colin's input on at the moment, and he is waiting for word back from Frontier on his license and is kind of not really wanting to do a lot more work on it until he gets information from that. He's quite happy that it's in a position ready to be released, or at least vetted for a version 1 or a draft status. So we'll see how that goes with that. So good luck to Colin on that one. As a result, I am working on my own at trying to integrate the Starship Combat Rules, or the VCS, which is the Vehicle Combat System. That will be the official title for it, into the RPG, and that also means changing some of the stuff that's in there in the main rule set to integrate properly with the VCS. So I'll move on to my personal things. Okay, following from last week, I've been writing the introduction, which has proved to be a bit of a pain, because my writing ability seems to have gone out the window for some reason this week. So I am just doing the main prosaic intro to the game system, explain how it integrates into the RPG, how it's meant to be used, separate it from a sort of miniatures rules type game because it uses counters and so on, rather than miniatures in this incarnation. Colin will retain the rights to do the miniature side of things more than anything else, but they will be compatible, that's the thing. So all the intro has to cover all that stuff, as well as give you a bit of an overview of the way that things work. So any similarities to Elite Dangerous, similarities to the RPG rules, differences between the two, and how it goes on. So I'm kind of writing it, reviewing it, reviewing it, basically fettling with it to make sure that it reads properly and it doesn't that it's not a lot of bollocks, basically. So hopefully that shouldn't take too long, and in the meantime I'm obviously trying to keep everything else up to date and keep everything get everything else ready to sort of move across. So that's working quite well. Also expanding the conversion of stats from RPG to VCS. So there's a very brief bit in the live document that goes into how to convert the stats over from the RPG, and it was very briefly written. So I'm trying to expand that out so that it's a full set of instructions on how to take an avatar record sheet or some other sort of character record sheet and then convert it across to the VCS rules, so that the stats needed for that game can be derived from the RPG stats. I'm also back working some changes to the removal of hex trackers. I did state when I was developing the miniatures / VCS rules that we had decided and discovered that the hex trackers weren't working as well as what we'd thought, as well as what I'd thought, and they're actually proving to be quite restrictive in the way that certain things were being recorded. And obviously, just to recap, the players were having a bit of a problem trying to mark everything on there, because these hex trackers, when you look at them, they're very, very small, and they're not particularly easy to modify when they're on a character sheet or a vehicle sheet and so on. So I made the decision within the VCS to bin the hex trackers and just use flat boxes to write stuff in if you need to, which makes it much easier to do if you're using something like a laminated sheet or a poly pocket to protect your sheet. So you can use a pen, like a marker pen, which have a bigger nib, so they're not as easy to write with, and it makes a bit of a mess very quickly. So doing it that way, means that it's a lot easier to modify the information that's on there, keep it up to date without making a mess of your sheet. And to highlight that, I'm looking at moving that stuff back across to the RPG, which means that I'm trying to get rid of some of the hex trackers in the RPG. And where I've started is with elite rankings. This is something that was worked on yesterday and today. This is actually kind of post the update going out last night, the notification update last night. So this has been added this evening. So this is the way that it stood on the character sheet for version 0.14. You have various different trackers to track how many segments or how many times the GM has said yes, you can put a little tick in your elite rankings now because you've done something else. Point 1, again, not particularly easy to maintain. If you put a dot in there, it's difficult to actually. It's easy to wipe that dot off or rub that dot off by mistake and not know what's there. It's also very small, difficult to read if you've got bad eyesight. Yada yada yada. So in a method to try and make it look a bit more presentable and to make it a little bit more accessible for everybody, we have. I see. I'm doing that we again. There's no we with this. It's just me. This is what we've done to it. What I've done to it. Shit. What I've done to it. So essentially, the big boxes there, the big empty boxes at the left-hand side of each column, are for writing in how many points you have built up. The numbers in the little arrows, which is all that's left of the hex, because those little arrows are actually the side of a hex. So that's all that's left of the hex design that was on there, is those 3 points in each shape. The numbers in there, 6, 12, 24, 48, are something I'm playing with as a bit of an idea as to how to represent elite rankings and make it flexible to work across the 3 different eras or 4 different eras of the game. In Elite Dangerous, for example, your elite ranking is based on how much money you earn at each activity. So you earn X amount of money, then you get another ranking up. In Original Elite, it's based on how many kills you have. So you can use either of those options with these numbers that are there. So if you want to take it the very basic route, if you're flying in the Elite era, so 3170s, 3140s, sorry, 3140s and 3125, 3140, that kind of era, where you're looking at the Original Elite, then you can make that number simply be the number of kills. So if you get 6 kills, you're then registered as, shit, it should be 1 down, shouldn't it? Mostly harmless. You've then got 12 hits to get to novice, 24 hits to get to competent. I'll need to rejig that so there isn't a line on penniless, aimless and harmless. I might actually just even take the 6 off, and just leave it as 12, 24, 48, 96, etc. all the way up to 1536. So that's the number of kills you would need to get piloting. Exploration, that's the number of planets you'd have to explore or things you'd have to scan. Trading, that's how many tons of cargo you have to buy and sell, whatever you want to make it. If you want to then go into Elite Dangerous mode and look at how much money you make on each thing, then you can increase, you can actually multiply that number by whatever factor you want to make it for your particular game. So if you're the GM, you can then dictate that, okay, each number that's in there, for my game, multiply it by 1,000. If you get that amount of money, then that's how much rank up you go. So you'll be looking at 6,000 credits for harmless, 6,000 credits in bounties for going to harmless. Just for the sake of argument, let's say that you start at less than harmless until I get that modified. You have to make 6,000 credits in bounties to get to the next rank, and then up to elite. So in order to get to elite, you have to have 536,000 credits in bounties to get to elite. And the boxes alongside you can use to keep track of that. Whatever you want to do for the Frontier and First Encounters, which I know is still on kill count, then you can make that yourself. But you can change that. You can change it as much as you like. You can make it 60,000 to get up. You can make it 600,000. You could even, if you're really feeling nasty, make it 6 million in bounties before you get to the next rank, which is a bit much, but there you go. But then you can also change the way that you do it between each tier, because it still retains the 3-tier system, which is mentioned in the rules. So you can change it for each tier. As I say, it's flexible. It's meant to be flexible to allow the GM and the players to negotiate the way that they want to run the campaign, the way that they want the elite rankings to work. So I need to explain all that in the main book, and then obviously go from there. Okay, so that's that. For a little bit of late added stuff, that was quite a long conversation. So the vehicle record sheet is the other big thing I've worked on this week. I have tried to convert it back to a portrait format to make it more compatible with the book, because there's nothing I hate more than having a sheet in a book that's in landscape format and then having to turn the book round or turn your sheet round to a different shape to everything else that's on there. So I have decided to convert it to portrait format, which has worked rather well. Also to make the final decisions at last on what to include on this sheet. Now, at the start of last week I had not even got anywhere near completing a design for the back of the sheet, so that's all been done, and I've had to take into account the different cardlet designs, because we're including what they called utility mounts for the game, for the vehicles. So that had to be included in the back, and I had to have a place to record ammunition and a place to put your basic stuff that the ships carry, like cargo and people and that kind of stuff. So there's a preview of what the vehicle record sheets look like now. The ammunition bays is probably the area that's going to be changed slightly, because there may be too many rows of information in there to be actually meaningful, because there's not that many things that you'll be carrying, because you're obviously going to have a maximum of something like 12 hard points, and each one of them will use its own type of ammunition. Even at that, you've still got a lot of empty space there, so I'm probably going to reduce the number of lines in there by half and do a bit of a redesign of that. That's the only thing I think is going to change. The rest of it would seem to be fairly complete. I've tried to standardise the way that the standard modules, the internal compartments and utility mounts look design wise. So rather than having, I don't know if you can see my mouse pointer, I'm going to move it around just in case you can see it. Let me get it back into the right window. So this bit here at the top, the header information there. There should be enough space in there to write on a brief description of what's on there, of what's in that. Sorry, what that unit is called, what that module is called that you've installed. Now that'll work as well as working for the. God, I'm getting very tongue-tied tonight. What? Nope, even lost what I was saying. Good God. Andy Tomo, thank you for the follow, but you've totally thrown me off. Yeah, I had to come up with a standardised design for the header, so that there should be enough space in the top of each one for you to write in what that module is that you've just fitted on there if you have to, or you can use one of the cardlets and either stick it on top or place it on top or whatever you want to do with it during the actual game. You can even keep them separate. You don't have to even use the character sheet, the record sheet, sorry, for your ship if you don't want to. They have been thrown in as an option so that you've got somewhere to put all the information that you need to reference about your ship in the RPG. It's also useful for the miniatures game. The way the miniatures game has been designed, you can just use the cardlets on their own and have them somewhere near your vehicle card or your counter so that you know what's on that ship. Yeah, so you've got, but if you want to keep it a bit more regular, then you can use the sheet for the miniatures game or the VCS as well. Okay, right, Andy told me there's a rule I generally have on here, is that when I'm doing the Elite Encounters update, shut the fuck up in chat. So yes, learn that from future, thank you. Okay, we're looking at upcoming events then. Next on this stream is Monday Night Mayhem, which is the scheduled Frontier Mayhem event that's going on. I'm doing a bit of CQC with some special guests this evening, which will be up in about 10 minutes. So hope you'll stay around for that. If you're here for that, then hopefully you'll watch and you'll enjoy. On the 12th of this month, which is a week on Saturday I believe, I'll be doing the Pratchett Pilgrimage 2016, which is me flying whatever ship I'm flying at the time. It won't be the wireframe Cobra as depicted there, because the account that has that information, sorry, the account that has that ship is halfway across the galaxy. So there's no way I'm going to be coming back all that way just to do one night of streaming, so I'm going to use my second account and whatever ship I can manage to get to by that point with what I'll be using. After that, Gamers for Mankind is the following day, the Sunday the 13th of March, with Mad Dog, Cake Click and various other people who are awesome, and I'm going to be doing lots and lots of fundraising for the Mankind Initiative, which is a charity set up to help male victims of domestic abuse, one of the very few of their kind in the country, so please stop by them and help them raise money for an awesome cause. I'm also looking at planning something for the 19th or 20th of March. Now we've basically been briefly talking about this sort of stuff over Facebook chat and Skype and all that kind of stuff. We're hoping to get a bit of a CQC arena thing going for the 19th and 20th of March, which will have some hopefully very special guests. So that is going to be awesome. So keep your eyes peeled on that, and hopefully I'll have some more news as the weeks go by. April 2nd is Elite Meet 2016 at the Redhurst Hotel in Glasgow. We now have a location. Sadly, we are pretty definite that we're not going to be going. We just can't spare the time or the money or anything else. We can't definitely spend the money, but the time at that point we're going to be looking at trying to wrap up everything on the RPG, and I want to make sure that we can get as much time as we can. So there you go. Following that, LaveCon is in July 16th, 17th at Sedgwick Hall Hotel, Northampton. We will be there for that one, or I will be there for that one. Probably just me, but I'll definitely be there. Hopefully selling the book, which will then be out, we can hope. Okay, and that's it for the update this evening. Sorry for the bit of a mess it was in technically, but hopefully we'll get that ironed out next week. So Monday the 7th of March, 8 PM UK time. If you have any comments, questions or feedback, then please get them to me by Monday at 6 PM, or you can join me in the chat and ask questions live on stream if you would like to do so. So yes, I am now going to draw that stream to a close and then go and tell everybody in chat for being idiots and distract me while I'm trying to make a presentation. So thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week. Good night. Take care.